My in-laws fought in the Korean War, and after leaving my young husband behind, they died a hero's death. My husband and I had a family and a daughter, and then he went to the border, defending the nation. When he came back, there were only his ashes and a piece of Medal of Valor plaque. From then on, my daughter and I were dependent on each other and had no family to turn to. Until my daughter's senior year of high school, the school notified me to go to the hospital. On that day, my daughter, who had excellent grades and was well-behaved, was lying in the hospital bed with wounds all over her body and on the verge of dying. The bullies came to the hospital openly, dropped tens of thousands of dollars, and threatened us not to call the police. In the face of my refusal, I was bullied by the bullies' several families, beaten to death. Eventually my daughter died of serious injuries and despair. I had no way to file a complaint, and the other party was very powerful in the area. The school authorities stood by and did nothing. Desperate, I loaded a dozen medals in the drawer, carrying the Medal of Valor plaque, holding my daughter's ashes, to the door of the local military base. Just as I knelt at the door, a few of the bullies came all the way after me, punched and kicked me outside the military base door, shattered the urn and broke the plaque. Laughed out loud at me, "Tell you what, you don't care who you go to, it's useless." One hubby came home in an urn. Along with him came a plaque of first-class merit. Raising my daughter alone for many years, countless havoc did not press me. Only that day, I held my daughter kneeling on the ground, crying into a puddle of mud. Several soldiers in uniform, with red eyes, silently wept. Since then, my 80-year-old daughter and I have been living together, going out early and coming home late, single-handedly bringing her up. Other people saw that we had no relatives and bullied us all the time. Every time we encountered the cold-eyed ridicule of others, we endured in silence. Until my daughter was 18 years old and in her senior year of high school, an unexpected phone call late at night made me sleepless. "Is this mess? Emily Parker, something has happened to your daughter. Please come over to Mercy General Hospital quickly." I was sleep-deprived. Hurriedly pulling away from the wonder drawer, I took my few savings, called a cab and hurried to the hospital. When I saw my daughter, Lily Parker, in the hospital room, she was covered in blood-stained bandages, her mouth choked with pain and dying. "Mommy, I'm in so much pain. They say I'm an orphan without a daddy and keep bullying me. I don't want to go to school. Where is Daddy? I miss my daddy so much. When I was little he said he would protect me." The moment my daughter saw me, she burst into tears and cried out in aggravation. On her arm, the scars are so many, all kinds of smoke scars, knife marks, pinch marks crisscrossed, shocking. New wounds and old scars twisted and intertwined, making me instantly cry. My heart is almost broken, squatting in front of the hospital bed, asking my daughter the ins and outs. My daughter cried and told me, it was Victoria Blackwood who bullied me, beat me, burned my arms with cigarettes, forced me to drink the water in the bathroom, and cut all my hair. They also got in the bottle of water I was drinking, spit in it, made me kneel on the ground in front of the whole class, and then they rode me and made me bark like a dog. Their families were rich and I didn't dare tell my mom. "I'm sorry. It's my fault for making you worry. Mom, don't scold me." I hugged my daughter and bawled in the hospital room. I don't have any culture. I don't know much. I rely on a day to play several part-time jobs, washing dishes and sweeping the floor, handing out flyers, to pull my daughter up to adulthood. After seeing my daughter beaten to such a state, she was still afraid of my blame. My heart was like a knife twisting. Heartbroken. That night, the hospital ward, came a lot of people. There were my daughter's homeroom teacher, school administrators, my daughter's classmates who bullied her, and their parents. I even saw behind these people. There are bodyguards in suits, Victoria Blackwood, her father, from the briefcase. Out of the tens of thousands of cash, thrown to the daughter's hospital bed. Our children do not know what to do. Playing and messing around normal. Took a point. On hush money it. Dress up fashionable and beautiful. Breath gorgeous Victoria Blackwood. Viciously looked at my daughter. Subsequently and its reluctance to walk to me. Apologizing to us. I'm sorry. The other bullies. Hiding behind their parents. Snickered. Lily Parker the bastard. What a life. Not dying like that. Others called Victoria Blackwood her dad Mr. Blackwood Sr. Mr. Blackwood Sr. came to me and lowered his voice. Kids don't know how to hit hard. So let's forget about it. This several tens of thousands of dollars. As your child's medical expenses. I'm not afraid to tell you. There are my friends everywhere in the area. If you guys want to make a big deal out of this. No one will benefit. I frantically jumped on Mr. Blackwood Sr. crying and cursing loudly at him. You brutes. We are powerless. Should the poor be bullied by you? Look at your daughters. What have you beaten my child into? I picked up the tens of thousands of dollars and slammed it hard on Mr. Blackwood Sr. Then pointing at them, I broke down and cried. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to get you punished by the law. Mr. Blackwood Sr. did not say anything. The bodyguard, who was following behind, suddenly pushed his way through the crowd and slapped me to the ground. In the confusion, I heard the bodyguards of Victoria Blackwood's family cursing at me. Bitch, dare to talk to Mr. Blackwood Sr. like that. You looking for death. I was knocked to the ground by them. The fists around me rained down on me, and all the people present all looked on coldly. No one came to speak for me. My daughter let out a heartbreaking scream. Ignoring the injuries on her body, she struggled from the hospital bed and ran down, lying on top of me. Crying out in desperation, she begged the crowd, please, don't hit my mom. It's my fault. I'll let it go. You guys stop it quickly. Who will help us? My daughter hugged me to death, exposing her back to those bodyguards. I kept screaming. The intense pain made my sky spin. The doctor who heard the commotion and ran in was glared back by those letting in a fierce glare and stood still, not knowing what to do. Daddy, where are you? Someone is bullying us. Daddy. I want my daddy. My daughter was covered in blood, her mouth screaming for her daddy. Yet in the hospital room, no one responded. It wasn't until we, mother and daughter, were beaten to death that the fists around us disappeared. The blood flowed into my eyes. And with difficulty I looked up. Every single person was holding their hands, gloating at the scene. My daughter was unconscious on the spot, pushed back into the resuscitation room by the doctor. I sat on the ground, letting the blood flow. Mr. Blackwood Sr. threatened me viciously. You want to call the police or prosecute? I'll wait for you, a family of poor bastards, who deserve to fight with me. Victoria Blackwood was even more sneering. Your daughter is a thief. Why don't you ask her what she stole? Several other bullies who were involved made accusations, accusing my daughter of stealing their cell phones, tablets, and cash from their purses. These were all searched in my daughter's book bag. Dropping harsh words, everyone turned and left. Only the school's leader was left, falsely consoling me. Forget it. People have their hands full in the local area. You have no money and no connections. How are you going to fight with others? I kept shaking my head, stating that it was impossible for my daughter to steal from others. Since I was a child, I have always taught my daughter that no matter how poor or tired she is, She should never take anything that does not belong to her. My daughter is also well-behaved and sensible. Never stole anything from others. 3 bells later, my daughter was announced by the hospital. Internal bleeding. Serious injuries left this world. My head was covered with bandages. The moment I saw my daughter in the morgue, a scream of despair came out of my mouth, and my whole body threw itself on top of her. Daughter. How could this happen? How could my daughter die? On my daughter's body. There wasn't a single intact place. All of them were traces of being beaten and bullied, and some of the wounds were hideous and frightening. Her hair, moreover, had been cut with clippers of varying lengths, and the fingers of her hands were likewise full of heartbreaking smash marks. It was as if she had been hit hard with something. I couldn't imagine what kind of torture and pain my daughter had suffered before she was born. Ah! I kept screaming out of my mouth, hugging my daughter's body and crying my own tears dry. The leaders of the school seemed to be afraid that I would call the police. They followed me around the whole time. During that time they went out to make a phone call and went and returned a few minutes later to tell me those families were willing to pay $1 million each, so that I could hush money and not pursue the matter any further. Ms. Young, you can't fight them. For families together, that's $4 million. That's a lot of money that you won't be able to earn even in a few lifetimes. You're still young. You can find a new man and have another one. No matter how you calculate it, you're not losing out. I grabbed the principal's collar and yelled out at the top of my lungs. Do you think $4 million can buy back a human life? I had promised my husband that I would take good care of our daughter and let her live a life of peace and joy. Our daughter, as a result, was killed alive. The principal saw that I was soft and hard. He snorted coldly. If you like to pursue the matter, then go ahead and do so. It was your daughter who stole from others in the first place, and they stepped in, just protecting the safety of their own property. Putting down these words, the principal left with people. Before leaving, my daughter's homeroom teacher also came over to me to skim the responsibility. Said the whole thing had nothing to do with her. I refused the family's request for a private settlement. Spent a few days preparing my daughter's afterlife, and put her ashes in a jar. For the past few days, I was followed by people 20 hours a day. They even parked their cars in front of my house openly, looking at the dilapidated state of my house as they talked and laughed in their cars. Every now and then I'd get threats from unknown callers, warning me that as long as I didn't give in and back down, I would be the next one to die. After preparing the aftermath for my daughter, I knelt in front of my husband's last picture with a dead heart. When I got emotional, I cursed out at his last picture. You can defend the nation. Why can't you protect your daughter? You bastard. Our daughter has been beaten to death. Who will help us? I was paralyzed and cried loudly. Finally, I dialed the police. When the police came to my house, they made a few statements and assured me that the murderer would be apprehended. But I knew that Victoria Blackwood's family was too powerful, and that there were bound to be layers of obstacles. On top of that, I dialed everyone I knew to ask for their help, and everyone who heard Mr. Blackwood Sr.'s name hung up without hesitation. I tried reporting it. I also tried asking a reporter to do justice. Everything I tried, however, went unanswered and unanswered. The only reporter who came was robbed of all the equipment and instruments by a group of mysterious people just before they arrived at my doorstep. After they went back to investigate the situation, they never contacted me again from the next day. I was screaming for help. In order to take revenge on me, a group of mysterious people with masked faces kicked down the door of my house and tied me up. After beating me up a bit, they sternly threatened to break both my hands and feet if I kept it up. That night, in front of my husband's and daughter's effigies, I was once again beaten by these mysterious people until I was on the verge of dying, and fell senselessly into a pool of blood. When they left, they smashed everything in the house. My husband and daughter's last photo, thrown into the fire pit. A big fire burned clean. I tried desperately to stop them, but to no avail. For 2 to 3 months, I have tried all the ways, none of which can help my daughter justice. The school, the court was full of friends from the other side. Bureau, the investigation made no progress. Finally desperate, I thought of one last way. If it still does not work, I will find a place to end their lives. I went to the room where my husband's mom and dad lived, and pulled open the drawer, in which there were a dozen military decorations that I couldn't name, and then I uncovered the long cloth that covered the plaque. Above this plaque, engraved in 6 large letters, "Home of First-Class Merit," I wondered what the purpose of this plaque, which my husband had exchanged his life for, was. But at this moment, abandoned by the whole world, I could think of nothing else to do. In the past, in order not to bother the government to take care of it, when this quick plaque was sent home, I used something to protect it well and put it away grandly. Do everything well. I carried the merit plaque on my back pocket with a dozen medals. Holding my husband and daughter's urn, I took advantage of the night and hobbled, shedding tears of despair as I hiked toward the nearest local military outpost. I walked for over an hour. When I arrived outside the military outpost gate, I placed the ashes on the ground and knelt on the ground holding the merit plaque. The lights behind me were blinding. The family members of the bullies, with many men, chased me in a dozen vans. They surrounded me in front of the military outpost. I saw Victoria Blackwood, her dad, Mr. Blackwood Sr. Again. He came over with a big laugh on his lips and kicked me to the ground. Bitch, I told you, no matter what you sue for, it won't work, and I told you, if you go around petitioning again, they'll break your arms and legs, Mr. Blackwood Sr. finished as he waved his hand. The van ran down to many people and surrounded them from all 8 sides of the ground. Hit me, Mr. Blackwood Sr. barked. I was knocked to the ground. Someone had a steel pipe in their hand and slammed it down on my back as hard as they could. My mouth screamed miserably, and I clutched the plaque of merit in my arms that was covered with a cloth. Mr. Blackwood Sr.'s arrogant voice echoed in my ears. Not afraid to tell you, locally, I am the King of Heaven. No one who comes today can save you. Outside the military outpost door, I was beaten by a dozen people until I was spitting blood from my mouth. The steel pipe smashed hard on my arm, the intense pain making my screaming voice hoarse and piercing for it. Victoria Blackwood clasped her hands and stood aside, sneering at me. Humph. Still want to avenge your daughter Lily Parker. She is a bastard born of a mother, not raised by a father. She deserves to die. In the crowd, I also saw the figure of the principal. He stood beside Mr. Blackwood Sr. with a respectful expression, and the two were whispering something. I looked at Victoria Blackwood, had a nervous breakdown and screamed out, "You murdering demon! You pay for my daughter's life." I was struggling, choking on the pain. You are the ones who killed my daughter alive. In this world, is there no one to do us justice? I ignored the blood that filled my mouth and wailed out in grief. The principal walked over at this time and sighed at me. Ms. Young, a slap in the face is not enough. Have you ever thought that it might be your daughters, Victoria Blackwood and the girls? Why don't they go and bully the other students, but go and bully your daughter? It is evident that your daughter Lily Parker also has a big problem within this. I've already investigated. Many classmates have testified that inside your daughter's school bag, they found Victoria Blackwood's cell phone. cash, and tablet. I couldn't have imagined it in any way. After my daughter was abused and killed by them, instead of repenting, they turned black and white upside down, blaming all the faults on my daughter. You guys are lying. How could my daughter possibly steal from someone else? Looking around at the cold smiles of the crowd, in an instant, I felt as if I had been abandoned by the world. There was my blood everywhere, and my hands were beaten by them with steel pipes until I lost consciousness. I was like a fish on a knife and chopping board, no longer having the slightest strength to resist. Humph. What else are you holding in your arms, you bitch? Victoria Blackwood scoffed and opened her mouth. Because of the merit plaque, which was masked by me, who knows what it is? She took a few steps forward, wanting to snatch the plaque from my arms and find out. But was I firmly hold? This is my husband with life back to the honor. I do not allow by other people desecration. Victoria Blackwood Eye's strength is not as big as me. Coupled with my don't want to die to guard this plaque stance, she slapped me in the face. Heavy cold grunt. Humph. For those who don't know, what kind of treasure is it? But seeing as how your family is so poor, what kind of goodies can you take out? Lily Parker even has clothes on her body with tattered patches sewn all over them. It's just as well that she's dead, so she won't have to suffer after you. Ha ha. After my daughter was killed by them, I was once again the target of their bullying. It was as if my family had committed some sin that was infuriating to both the gods and the people. I looked at these people blankly and asked in a hoarse voice, why does everyone come to bully us? Mother and son, we just want to live. Why are you all just not willing to let us go? Everyone rolls their eyes at us and our mother, mocking us, bullying us. But we've always lived carefully and never offended anyone. Why? I questioned, sitting paralyzed in a pool of blood. Cloaked and hoarse. Mr. Blackwood Sr. said calmly, we can compensate your family a sum of money if you are willing to hush money. Otherwise, tonight, you will be crippled. Let you for the rest of your life. Can't be tossed. I said. Locally, you can't play with me. In this world, no one can do your daughter justice. I was determined, shaking my head at Mr. Blackwood Sr. You don't think so? The principal also stepped forward at this time, persuading me, Ms. Young, people can't be brought back from the dead. Anyway, it's already happened. And it's useless for you to continue to dwell on it. No matter what you do, your daughter won't come back to life. Why don't you just take the money and go about your life? This money is also enough to clothe and feed you for the rest of your life. You can't twist your arm. What do you have to fight with people anymore? I smiled miserably at the principal. His current fake benevolence made me want to vomit. I looked at the principal spitefully. Even if I give my own life, I can't let my daughter die in vain. From the moment my daughter was beaten to death by you guys, I never thought of living. I won't give up. Even if you break all my arms and legs. Even if I crawl, I will crawl to other places and beg others to give my daughter justice. I don't believe that the whole world is in your hands. Victoria Blackwood grabbed my hair and slapped me in the face repeatedly. Bitch. Shut up. In my mind, scenes of them abusing my daughter came to mind. Was it like this? They decided that my daughter didn't dare to fight back, didn't dare to call the police and tell the adults at home. And then, just like this, they carried out their ghastly evil deeds on her. Blood gushed from my mouth. The principal saw that I had a firm attitude and didn't look like I was giving in at all. He coldly grunted, Ms. Young, even if you want to redress your grievances, you shouldn't run to military outpost here. People are the soldiers defending the nation, not the people who will give you justice. Not a bit of culture and common sense. And you still want to learn from the TV, and seek justice for your own daughter. the principal's tone, full of sarcasm. Mr. Blackwood Sr. gradually lost his patience. He said to me with a cold snort, "There are people from my Zhao family everywhere. In your life, you will never be able to sue me, since you want to get a statement for your daughter. Tonight, I will fulfill you." Mr. Blackwood Sr. walked to me in large strides. A foot was pushed into my face, and I no longer had the strength to resist. I could only lie on the ground, despairing at what was happening in front of me. My life was plunged into darkness. I really didn't know what to do in the face of such rich and powerful people. Immediately after that, Mr. Blackwood Sr. picked up the jar containing my husband's ashes, lifted it up high, and then slammed it on the ground with force. The jar tore apart with a loud sound. Mr. Blackwood Sr. kicked the white powder on the ground, kicking it everywhere and floating away with the wind. No, originally exhausted and dying from serious injuries, when I saw this scene, a burst of unimaginable strength once again erupted within me. I clutched Mr. Blackwood Sr.'s feet in a death grip. Mr. Blackwood Sr. kicked me in the back again and again. I rolled my eyes in pain. Not waiting for me to react, he once again picked up my daughter's jar and slammed it down hard. My husband's and my daughter's jars were thus torn apart by Mr. Blackwood Sr.'s fall in front of my eyes. Didn't you want justice? Now you don't even have their ashes. Where are you going to get them justice? Struggling. A dozen military decorations, in my pocket, fell out. These were the things that my husband's parents, back then on the battlefield, had traded their lives for. The bright red color on it was as if it had been soaked in their blood. Everyone froze in place. What is this? Victoria Blackwood, who was on the side, picked it up to watch. Then with a cold smile, she casually threw it to her feet. Humph. I thought it was something. Just a few pieces of rags. Never even seen it. And you carry it around as a treasure. Your daughter has a poor look. I see you, as a mother, are also a psychopath. Doing things that are completely unbelievable. After saying these words, Victoria Blackwood waved her hand at her family's bodyguards, pointed at the plaque in my arms, and spoke loudly, "Take what's in her arms and smash it for me." Several bodyguards swarmed at me. This time, I no longer had the strength to resist. Eyes wide open, I watched as they took the plaque from my arms, snatched it, and kicked it off at the waist. No. I screamed out of my mouth. The commotion outside the military outpost finally caught the attention of the guardian post outside. He had thought it was just a private conflict and was reluctant to intervene. But when he saw my miserable state, he couldn't hold back any longer, and with a steel gun in his hand, he left his post and came my way. "Stop. You guys are going too far." A bunch of grown men, ganging up on a woman. The principal walked forward, nodded his head and spoke with a smile. "Little warrior, these are our personal grudges. I'm sorry. Well, take her away now." Saying that, he gave a wink to Mr. Blackwood Sr. Mr. Blackwood Sr. waved his hand, and the surrounding bodyguards were about to rack me up and forcefully take me away. I exerted my last strength and screamed. My husband's mom and dad are the people's soldiers of the Korean War. My husband, a martyred hero who defended the border. My daughter was killed alive by them. Please, judge, do something for my daughter. This sentence of mine. Let the whole scene quiet down. The little warrior also saw the medals scattered all over the place. He picked them up and looked at them. His face changed greatly. Then I removed the long cloth that covered the merit plaque, and placed the plaque, broken in half, at the feet of the little warrior. Everyone Subconsciously looked at the plaque. Victoria Blackwood spoke curiously. "What is this?" She took the broken plaque and put it back together. Everyone immediately saw it clearly, and it was clearly engraved with the 6 big words. First Class Merit House. "Please, do something for my family. I don't know where to go anymore. I can only come to you guys. Please." I kowtowed to you. I turned to the little warrior and kowtowed frantically until my head was bleeding. There was a snap. I saw the principal, sitting paralyzed on the ground on the spot, his forehead filled with cold sweat that broke out. The crowd was as silent as death. The young warrior glanced at the interrupted Medal of Valor plaque, then at me, and he didn't say a word. Instead, as fast as he could, he made a mad dash inside the camp. It was barely more than a few minutes. The camp, which originally only had a few lights, was instantly lit up. And everyone heard a rally whistle that resounded through the camp. "Everyone, gather immediately. Mr. Blackwood Sr. was quick to grab Victoria Blackwood, and without saying a word, he fled into the car, furiously stepping on the gas to leave. The others, too, were running for their lives, a scene that left me dumbfounded. They ran away in front of me. In the back of the camp, many fully armed soldiers rushed out. When they saw the scene in front of them, a dozen old military decorations scattered on the ground, the Medal of Valor plaque kicked into 2, broken urn. Every warrior. Tiger's eyes rounded, eyes with tears, the last shoulder, embroidered with 2 long golden lines, 2 golden stars of the middle-aged man, slowly half-kneeling on the ground, holding a shovelful of ashes in his hands. His tears, no longer controllable, fell down. "Sister-in-law, what's going on?" With a trembling tone, the middle-aged man looked at me. I cried and told him everything, all the ins and outs. "This process," I said, while kowtowing to them, begging them to do justice for me and my husband's daughter. The middle-aged man got up and grabbed the collar of the small warrior who stood guard just now. His mouth growled, "Such a big thing. Why didn't you inform us earlier? Immediately report this matter to the military base." I was flanked by everyone and brought into the camp. The doctor inside briefly bandaged me and brought a cup of hot tea to me. It wasn't more than half an hour later. I saw many, many people, some in military uniforms, some in suit jackets, and I even saw city officials in the crowd. He was wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, and when he saw me, his eyes turned red. "I'm sorry, sister-in-law. It was our negligence that caused such a big thing to happen." I once again kneeled to the ground at them. Tears flowed long and hard as I spoke in desperation. "Please, leaders, help me. I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know what to do anymore." This night, the sound of disciplining people was everywhere. More and more people, pouring into this camp. One of the kindly old grandpa just came, City Police Department's one, the middle-aged man just now, and many people in military uniform. All stood straight in place and saluted. The old grandpa held these military decorations in his hands and burst into tears. A man in military uniform who looked like he had a big identity whispered a few words into the old grandpa's ear, and the old grandpa's emotions immediately flared up. Excessive. Simply too much. I don't care who the other party is, how many people he knows, and who is backing him up. All those involved, one by one, I will make them pay. Pass on my order. Gather the entire regiment. Give me those places. Surround them all. As I walked out from the reception room, I also saw a middle-aged man with white hair and wearing a police uniform, standing outside sweating profusely. Although I didn't recognize all of them, I knew that people from every local unit had all come tonight. When he saw me, The middle-aged man hurriedly came up and apologized to me repeatedly. Ms. Young, it was our negligence. I promise that I will return justice to your daughter. All the people involved. Not a single one of them will escape. The old grandfather beside me looked at this middle-aged man. In a tone that was not angry, he said, "No need. You guys better get ready and take off these clothes." The middle-aged man was like a deflated leather ball, paralyzed in his chair. I declined their request to take me to the hospital. I want to see with my own eyes. Those murderous demons, brought to justice. They took me to an Audi. Behind it was a vast array of large trucks, all pulling small warriors. That night, the convoy from the camp headed straight for Victoria Blackwood's house. They had already packed their bags, and were about to go out to hide for a while, before they went out and met up with numerous military warriors from the camp. Several hundred people jumped out of the military vehicles. The vast number of people rushed toward Victoria Blackwood's family. Originally also wanted to resist a dozen bodyguards, like chickens, was warriors with a gun but violently smashed on the forehead. Immediately full of blood, fell to the ground, fainted dead. Every little warrior, after learning the cause of the matter, his eyes rolled with hot tears, full of killing intent. Victoria Blackwood, who was previously untouchable, was so scared after seeing the scene in front of her that her face turned pale and she stood frozen in place. Her entire body was trembling. The middle-aged man with 2 golden threads and 2 golden stars from before led the way with 24 small warriors. He recklessly rushed towards Mr. Blackwood Sr. without giving Mr. Blackwood Sr. the chance to open his mouth at all, and he was thrown out. Everyone, unanimously, pretended not to see. You inhuman beast. Do you know that her husband, that little girl's father, was defending the nation? A hero who died with honor. And yet you see them orphans and widows as easy to bully, driving them to desperation. You animal, I really want to shoot you now, Mr. Blackwood Sr., who once screamed in front of me that he was the king of heaven in the area and had people everywhere. At this moment, he was so scared that he didn't dare to say a word, and his mouth was begging for mercy. Comrade Chief, I don't know if I know her family is a first-class meritorious family. The old generation also participated in defending the nation. Give me 10 guts. I don't dare to bully them all. I held my husband and daughter's brand new urn the whole time. No words. Just silent tears. Just silent tears. Mr. Blackwood Sr. kept begging for forgiveness, saying that he was willing to do his best to make it up to my family. But half an hour later, several other classmates involved in bullying my daughter, the whole family from top to bottom, were arrested here. Those few female classmates, scared out of their wits, no longer looked the least bit spirited. The old grandpa himself stepped in. I don't know who he is, what's his status, but what I saw tonight, every very dignified, high-ranking person. When they see this old grandpa, they all snap and stomp their feet and salute him. He kept a firm grip on the military decorations that were as bright as blood. The old grandpa spread out his palm to Mr. Blackwood Sr. to reveal the military decorations inside and spoke. Know what this is. Only martyrs who have served their country and their people, who have performed significant meritorious deeds, and who have been honorably sacrificed, can be exchanged for a copy of this honor. And her family has 11 of them. On top of that, her family also has a plaque of 1 meritorious nail. It can be said that her family's ancestors, for several generations, were all heroic warriors who threw their heads and spilled their blood for the people of our country. In the end, they didn't succumb to the enemy's guns and bullets. Instead, They were bullied by you street hooligans and local bullies to the point where they held the plaques of merit and the ashes of their family members and cowed out outside the military outpost to beg for help. You really deserve to die. The old grandfather's eyes are red. His temperament is fierce. And he finished this sentence with gritted teeth. Mr. Blackwood Sr. has long been silenced, not daring to say a word. Only to me, kowtowing frantically. The people who were brought here. I saw the principal, the vice principal, homeroom teacher. There were also a lot of raw faces. It looks like they are all people who are involved in this matter. You assholes, bullies, animals. I don't believe that I can't still clean you guys up. Also at this moment, those few female classmates who had bullied my daughter's people to death broke down mentally, ran over in tears, and knelt in front of me. In front of everyone, they confessed everything to me. Auntie Young, I'm sorry. Everything was directed by Victoria Blackwood. It was she who deliberately set up your daughter Lily Parker, abetting us, putting her own cell phone tablet and cash. While on her lunch break, she put it inside your daughter's school bag. It was also Victoria Blackwood who led the abuse of your daughter. I sat paralyzed on the floor, looking at my husband and daughter in my arms, crying without breath. I spoke brokenly. Husband, chiefs, do it for my family. Daughter, Mom has done you justice too. With the confession of those female classmates, Victoria Blackwood sat down on the ground in despair. Her eyes were godless. She knew she was finished. That incredibly arrogant Mr. Blackwood Sr. and the families of those female classmates. Tonight all their power, connections, friends, status, and identity were completely defenseless. It was just ripped to shreds. Old Grandpa walked up to me and comforted me. Don't worry. I will personally follow up on this matter. All those who have harmed your family, including those who helped them behind the scenes, those who were directly involved, those who were indirectly involved, I won't spare a single one. Everyone was taken away. For my safety, I stayed inside the camp for the next few days. The local city police department redecorated my house and bought new furniture. They even repaired the broken merit plaque, and the people who came to make amends and apologize to me broke through the threshold. I heard from people in the camp. Many of the local people were held accountable, from top to bottom, and not a single person escaped. I also finally understood why so many people came to me to apologize and make amends. The principal and homeroom teacher were investigated by task force for dereliction of duty, and Mr. Blackwood Sr. was arrested on many charges, and after the investigation, he was immediately transferred to the court for prosecution and sentencing, including their bodyguards who hit people, all netted. As for Victoria Blackwood and the few female classmates, they are 18 years old and have criminal responsibility. They were expelled from school, and Victoria Blackwood was sentenced to 15 years for manslaughter, unlawful restraint, and insult. Her entire family, all of them, were caught. The incident caused a big stir in the area. More than 100 people were implicated, 1/3 expelled, 1/3 demoted, and 1/3 convicted. Unfortunately, although I got justice for my daughter, she will never live again. With the help of kind-hearted people, I went to an orphanage and adopted a little girl. She was filial and understanding. In her, I saw my daughter's shadow. In order to stop this from happening again. Some time later, I suddenly realized that a big police booth had been set up across the street from my house, and every day there were police officers on duty here to maintain law and order in the area. Every now and then, there would be strange young people, carrying all kinds of fruits, coming to the house to visit. They would not say anything about their identity. Every time, they came in a hurry, asked me about my life, stuffed me with a pile of cash, and left in a hurry. Half a year later, that old grandfather came to visit my family, and this time he came in military uniform. On his shoulder, there was something similar to a golden sheaf of wheat with 2 stars on it, which gave off a golden glow under the sunlight.